Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs. Welcome back to Decidedly Vanilla. Over here at the Freehaven house, just temporarily, to pick up a couple of things, namely the 3 water-breathing potions that B-Ran brewed for me that I picked up in last Friday's episode, I believe it was, and we're bursting out the front door of the house. What is this, a Friday? Anyway, we're going over to the Nameless Ruin today to do a little bit of building work, and you'll notice I have a bit of stained clay in my inventory. Went out to the mesa to get that earlier on today. Very excited to put this to use because I've been doing a little bit of work over at the ruin. Remember last Monday's episode I said I wanted to turn the cave by the zombie spawner into a bit more of a base? Been working on that, you guys will like it. Anyway, I have made a couple of really minor changes to the Nether hub because the way the spiral staircases worked, it wasn't even a spiral actually. What happened was you went up that way instead, you crossed over the top of there, and then you went up this staircase. I've made it more of an actual spiral this time around, so you just keep turning left. I'm like Zoolander, I can't turn right, so I feel like everything makes a little bit more sense in there now. It might confuse a couple of people at first when they're using the Nether hub. They'll be like, this staircase feels weird somehow. It's because it's the other way around, and hopefully you guys will get used to that. Sorry if it's a little bit confusing first of all. And yeah, I felt like it was just about time to do that. I've been complaining about it for long enough. Anyway, how was everyone's Thanksgiving weekend? I didn't do very much, to be honest. Being in the UK right now and not having the chance to celebrate with my wife's family, it was a bit of a shame, but obviously stuff is tight for us financially right now, so it was a little bit difficult to get in touch with the American family other than via Skype, which of course we did, and it was nice to chat to them. They were all having a very chill weekend. Nice for the American types to have a holiday for sure, because they're all hard-working people. Got to understand that. Now, anyway, leave in the comments if you had a great Thanksgiving, and I really hope you all did. Now, we have behind here, oh gosh, the cat has decided to the cat has decided to make an entrance. He's walking across the mixer. Has he turned off the microphone? No, he hasn't. Good. Come down here, you. Come on. Oh. Rustling noises on the microphone. Anyway, this this thing I've been looking at for the last 30 seconds whilst my cat climbs across me is the other half of the Nether portal was just a blank wall behind there, but I thought it would be really nice to either be able to walk one way and get to the spawner, walk the other way and get up to the cave base. So that's what this does. This leads through to a slime block launcher, which is intended to get you up there, and it only didn't because I wasn't prepared for it. So you just run through here. It makes a little note block noise because the note blocks down there are kind of surrounding the pressure plate, but then you can just kind of hop up the stairs, or there's a manual path you can take to get up, the footpath around there. Still haven't quite finished decorating the walls, but you guys know me and roofs. It's nice to get the walls done at least. And through here we have a couple of things, and this is what I'm putting the stained clay to use in. I really love this pattern. The red stripe down the middle, cyan either side, and lime green stained clay. And you'll notice a little hint of melon coming through there because I realised that we have all of these melons that we're really not using for anything other than glistering melons, and let's face it, we don't even use those all that often. So I thought, why not put the humble melon to use and have it as like a tiny little accent block, just a quarter of it peeking out there. You would barely even notice it was a melon if you didn't know it was there, and it fits in with that lime-stained clay really well. So designers, something to consider for your interiors. I wouldn't have like an entire stripe of it. I did that in my single-player series a while ago. I kind of had these pillars made out of melon in the storage unit. Not so keen on that as a look now. It actually looks quite good as wallpaper, but there you go. It's 6s and 7s, isn't it? This, I never know if I used that right. 6s and 7s. I kind of want to say that's like, that kind of sounds like it's saying someone's crazy when they're all 6s and 7s. I mean it to mean like swings and roundabouts, you know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. When you're just kind of like, well, it's some person's choice, but it's not everyone's choice. That's what I mean. I'm having the hardest time making myself understood today, so I'm just going to continue with a little bit of a tour of the base. I'm planning on making one of these a smelting area for like automated smelting and stuff. Going to move all of the hoppers that are over by the Drowned Abbey into probably this area, because this is the one that pokes out towards the zombie spawner, and I don't want to mess with that too much. So the smaller of the two rooms is going to be the smelting area, and the other one, probably this one over here, is going to be the storage area. And I want storage pretty much equivalent to the stuff I have in my house over in Freehaven. Maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit bigger. I don't really know how I'm going to arrange it yet. And obviously there's only certain materials that I use over here at the Nameless Ruin, but that has expanded recently into stuff like this. This is kind of a hallway design that I've had for a while. I'm still not super keen on this. I think I might find ways to switch that up at some point, but I do like it having granite and diorite behind there because I don't use granite and diorite enough, and it's just nice having it peek through there. This kind of blends well with the theme with like the birch pillars, and I left a comment on KB's video the other day because KB was building his house in Freehaven, which is coming together pretty nicely, I think. And I was saying I've never found a decent use for birch logs other than just being a birch tree. So I was determined to include them in something. I said I'm going to find a use for them if it kills me, and this is kind of what I've gone with so far, just having them as black and white pillars inside of here. I said if you build anything like large scale out of birch, it's like you're trying to live inside one of those black and white cows. It just doesn't always turn out right, but I think here we can just about get away with it. It works really nicely with the red. So I like those pillars right now, and the diorite being next to it kind of gives it that black and white feel, and then the granite next to the nether brick kind of leads out into this section here. So I think that works okay. Anyway, this is kind of the first hallway I designed for this place. It actually leads down from up at the top of the zombie spawner down into the rest of the base, and I really like this design. What I was going with the nether brick and the birch next to it, and I've kind of come to terms with the way the birch looks. I think it's something to do with my monitor's color settings, because on my other monitor it looks absolutely fine. So the weird kind of sickly green color I'm seeing, probably just a product of this monitor being slightly different. But with the red, with the nether brick, with the stone slabs around here, it really balances out. The redstone lamps look quite good in that position. And then down here we're going to lead out to something else, not sure what yet, maybe a couple of auto farms, because I haven't had automated crop farms really, aside from the nano farm that we have over at the skeleton spawner in Freehaven. And that's Impulse SV's nano farm design, I think. And yeah, leading down into here, I might have some other stuff a little bit further down. I might even have some underground animal farms and move that cow farm that I've got on the surface, because that is just a set of walls with a bunch of cows in it. It needs to have some more sort of organised area down there, so might go for that. I'm going to take the stained clay from here and probably drop it off in this chest over here for now, because I'm not planning on doing any more building on this today. I will probably do a little bit more off camera, and maybe we'll come back to it before the end of the episode. I'll need another chest out here. This is where we can start the storage area though, so how about we put a crafting table somewhere in here. Let's just put it up there for now. Temporary position, we'll find some place for it later, and we'll grab some, we don't need the hardened clay, we need the spruce wood. Let's grab 4 logs of that and we can make ourselves a double chest. Turn that into planks like so, and place one there for no reason. I'm rushing a little bit today because this is going out a little bit late. There was a guy outside with a wood chipper who was... There's been a bit of a... It's not like a storm as such. There's just been some really, really windy weather over here, and everybody in the UK, like on social media and stuff, is labelling it a storm. We've got to the point where we have named storms, which are absolutely nothing like the kind of hurricanes and the other disastrous weather conditions that people experience in other parts of the world. So I think us naming our storms is a little bit overdramatic, but there you go. It gets people talking about them on Twitter, which I think is the point. It's kind of like giving people a hashtag to use on social media, that kind of thing. So yeah, we've been experiencing a little bit of blowy weather over here in the UK, and there was a guy outside with a wood chipper the entire day. So between that and the wind, it was really, really noisy outside, and I haven't been able to record until later on in the evening. It's 5 o'clock here, so this will probably be going out immediately after I finish recording, and hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit more building done. We're going to head over to the Abbey, which is still in the same state it was in the last video, and I've just about got the facade finished, and I want to build a little bit around the front of that and then start building out the rest of the structure. But I'm quite happy with how it looks. I watched it back on the video footage when I was editing it, and it's okay. It's okay. I was a little bit worried about how building underwater would end up being, considering the amount of detail I like to put in my builds, but coming on down here, it looks pretty nice. Just coming into view with the face. Yeah, I do like that. I think it's one of those things. I was talking about this to somebody the other day. I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it might have been one of the guys from the Patreon server in our Skype chat, and I was just saying, sometimes when you look at a build, you really like it 1 second, and then you really don't like it the next second. Sometimes you just need to go away from it and come back with fresh eyes to figure out whether or not you actually like what you're building. And for the most part, I'm pretty sure at this point I do. I think a lot of the time when I get a feel for something, I can actually build it quite well and be happy with it first time. But sometimes you just get that nagging feeling at the back of your mind, like, I don't like this, this could be done better, or something doesn't look quite right, and you need to go away from it for a while and then come back. So that's what I've been doing this week. I've been going away from things and coming back to them. I need to grab myself some more not water breathing potions, I have those, night vision potions, that's what we need. So I'm actually going to go back over to the spawner room so we can do that. Okay, here we go. Let's drink the night vision and then the water breathing, so we know when the night vision starts to fade, then the water breathing is just about to run out. So we're going to come down here, and what I was thinking was we need like a solid wall behind this to really make the facade stick out some. So that's probably going to be made primarily out of smooth stone, which is going to feel a little bit weird at first, and it's always kind of strange laying all of this down. It's also really strange, there's a slight amount of block lag you get because you're placing the block underwater, and it has to process things twice, because if you're filling a block like an air block, it doesn't usually lag like that. But then you'll notice like a couple of them sort of, the blocks flicker, and that's because it's replacing water, and it has to think about that more than replacing air, which is really, really strange to me. It's almost like, I don't know if you've done any of the housing stuff on Hypixel, you guys. I've been playing around with that recently and having quite a bit of fun with it, actually. But the one thing is I need to play a ton more games to get some more blocks, because the blocks they give you to start off with are really, really basic, and that's how they get you. That's how they get you playing more games. Anyway, I've been doing a little bit of that, and they basically recreated creative mode without giving you creative mode, because obviously then you'd have access to blocks and there's no way for them to restrict that. So they basically recreated creative mode with command blocks, if I'm understanding it right anyway. And that definitely needs to be taller. That's the one thing I kind of took away from the last building session, is that this front piece does need to be a lot taller. And we're going to frame the outside of this, so it's going to look a little bit weird at first, but bear with me, it'll be fine. I do want to come down here and add another little section here. And right now this is all going to be smooth stone for now. I'm going to frame the outside in stone brick, and then I will go through and add a few more touches of it in the detail. So this is just kind of blocking out where I want stuff to be right now. I'm probably going to end up wasting a bunch of this smooth stone, turning it back into cobblestone, unless I've got a silk touch pickaxe on me, which I don't think I do right now. But worry not, that will be absolutely fine. I can always re-smelt it through here. Got myself a ton of smooth stone now. I can't believe how much smooth stone I actually have. It's been a little while since I've done a mass smelting operation like that. Anyway, back down here. And yeah, I've been playing around with the housing stuff a little bit, and they have this ever so slight. It's not as smooth as using creative mode at all. There's like this really slight block lag that you get from building anything there. So it can be a little bit frustrating using that, but it's good fun, and I like doing housing stuff. I might make my house like publicly available to people who want to come and take a look, see what I can build. There we go. And from the surface, that's definitely making it feel a little bit more kind of monolithic, I guess. It's going to have to be framed out with stone brick now, just so I can get a feel for it. And I think I'm probably going to do a bit of framing kind of on the inside here as well, just to make it feel like it has some depth to it, because, to be honest, it always looks very, very flat stone, like the smooth stone texture does. And I suppose it's intended to, because it's mostly used in the walls of caves and things. I wonder how this is going to look when it's all put together like this. My main concern is it not looking as detailed as I would like, because of obviously the amount of detail I like to put in with stairs and slabs and things, but I think we'll get away with it. I think it will be mostly okay if I end up doing this as well. And I want that coming down to about there, I think. I don't want it all the way to the ground for sure. Let's catch a breath in here, why not? And I can't even remember how far down that was on the opposite side. I'll have to go back and take a look in a second, but I think it was about 3 blocks from the bottom, so we'll go with that for now, and hopefully this squid will get out of the way when I want to place the block there. Thank you. This might feel a little bit strange to you guys right now, but if you get up and take a look at that from the top, I think that's looking pretty cool. There's just something about it. The shadows around the outside really create this nice feeling of depth. But I'm going to add a ton of extra detail to it eventually anyway, because this is going to be turned into a ruin. This is obviously the entire structure can't have survived this, whatever collapse has led to it coming down here. So obviously this is all going to change. Bits of it are going to get broken off. I want you guys to see it intact before it ends up getting ruined, so you can kind of get the feel of like the history of it, what it used to be and what it's now become. And that is my signal to return to the surface, because the water breathing and night vision are about to wear off. But yeah, I'm liking how this is turning out so far. I think this is looking pretty good. Next plan is to add in spruce kind of beams that go back like that, and I'm pretty much set on using spruce for that. I think that's probably going to be the best type of wood for it. Spruce is the best type of wood for a lot of things, in my opinion. You guys know that about me by now. I was considering jungle wood because it has kind of flecks of green in there that I could almost pass off as being like seaweed or something like that, and little like mossy things that have got stuck to it. But the problem with that is the jungle wood texture. If I place down a block of spruce wood there, the texture goes along like that. It's a lot easier to make beams out of it because it's got that lengthways texture, whereas the rings on a jungle wood tree, they kind of pass left to right instead of up and down, so that wouldn't quite look right if I was making beams out of it, in my opinion. Anyway, your mileage may vary when it comes to that kind of stuff, but just so you know my methodology kind of thing. So I'm going to end up making beams sort of going out like this, and they're going to be quite close together at the top, and then as we get further down, I think they're going to spread out a little bit more. So the next one will have a couple of gaps, a couple of blocks gap in between it like that, and then it's going to be more like there, and then we'll be able to join these together. An interesting thing about churches, if you guys don't know, maybe you know this already, in which case you'll be hearing something that you already know but is still very, very interesting to me, is that the roof of a church is meant to look like you're inside a boat. It's meant to look like an overturned boat, and it's meant to symbolize, if any of you guys are familiar with your Bible stories, I'm sure a few of you are, that it's meant to symbolize like the ark from the story of Noah, when God saved 2 of every animal and Noah's family from a flood that wiped out pretty much everything else that was on earth at the time. And whether or not you believe in the Bible and scripture and so forth, it's kind of an interesting thing to see how that story has impacted basically the entire family of architecture that churches belong to. Because if you look up in a church, I mean, obviously modern churches will vary from this, but in a traditional kind of Christian church, they all have roofs that look like that. They look like the hull of a ship if you're looking at them from below. And that's kind of interesting if you bring it into this building that's been completely drowned, that has basically been flooded. It's kind of a weird irony thing that we're going with here. So yeah, depending on what you believe, I'm not sure how you guys will feel about this, but I think it's really interesting putting something like this in an underwater environment. So hopefully it'll come together quite well, and you can already get a feel for like the length of this building from the area that I've carved out, and I'm going to need a ton more spruce wood, so we will get some more of that on the go, and then probably round out the episode with a little bit more work on this. Alright, it's time to take our last dose of medicine, and I will show you guys what I can do with this. This is looking pretty great right now, and we have a couple of friends out on the water with us this morning, so I'm just going to take care of these guys. A lot of squid out today as well, which is nice. Might end up getting some ink from those guys later, replenish my stocks of dye, but yeah, here is how it's looking so far, and I'm really pleased with it. Obviously I still need to add a little bit of detail to that, but yeah, adding in this spruce wood alongside here kind of gives the roof a little bit of texture whilst keeping it kind of simple, and I like that. What I am going to do is add some like stone braces kind of across the middle, maybe some stone brick or something like that, and that will at least give it the impression that the roof is a little bit more supported. I've been working so much with spruce recently because it's such an easy wood to get hold of. A lot of people swear by jungle wood because it creates those massive 4x4 trees. Spruce does that as well, and it drops an absolute ton of saplings, which jungle wood never seems to do for me. unless I'm using a fortune tool or something to get the leaves. So yeah, spruce wood, definitely the way to go, and I think this is looking pretty good. One of the reasons I don't build all that much on camera recently is because so much of the building I do involves detail, and I say that when I put in a massive building episode last Friday, to do Cookie's Temple, which I'm still really pleased with, and we're going to go back and do the interior of that next Friday. But the reason I don't do a huge amount of building on camera is because so much of the stuff with detail is just stepping back and thinking, does this look good, finding out why it doesn't or what could be improved, and then going back in and doing it again and just making these tiny modifications over and over again. And it doesn't always look like you've achieved a great deal, which is why I save the detail stuff most often for my tutorials and stuff like that, because then I can put together like a structured breakdown of what I'm doing, and I can kind of almost script it. I don't really script my tutorials, but I at least figure out what I'm going to say before I say it, whereas with this stuff I can just kind of waffle on and you see results at the end of it. The cool thing about building stuff that's this big is that you can sit back and really show the effort that you've put in just by placing a bunch of blocks. It's really not taken me all that long to do this, but it's starting to look nice and impressive. And obviously we still have an absolute ton of work to do, but there is a building there that was not there before. Obviously there's a lot left to do on. I haven't even figured out what I'm going to do with the sides yet. There's going to be some windows in here, of course, but glass blocks still don't quite look too great with the water yet. That is something that we're going to have to wait for 1.9 for it to be fully fixed, and then after that, whatever windows I put in here, as long as it's not glass panes, because I don't think it's been fixed for glass panes, but those windows will end up looking superb, I guarantee it. In the meantime, I'm trying to work out what to do around here. The majority of the interior of this build is going to be dry. There are going to be water kind of columns and stuff coming from the surface and bits of the exterior that are broken and the water is kind of rushing in, but it's not going to be completely flooded on the inside. I want to make most of it kind of still accessible without you drowning or needing potions to get around. So I'm planning out bits and pieces of the interior as I go, and it's going to be massive in here, and I want to make it at least look like it's structurally sound, so I'm going to have to do a fair bit of research into how I can achieve that. But right now I'm really happy with how this is going. I think it's looking pretty good. Hope you guys are excited for this build, because I know I am, and it's what's going to be the focus of the next couple of weeks of Monday's episodes while I get this all done. I'll probably do a little bit of off-camera work on it this week as I have a fair bit of free time, but there's always stuff to do. There's always things to build. There's always exciting stuff in the pipeline. So that'll be it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching this. My name has been Pixlriffs. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And Kingy's Game has sponsored this episode by donating to me on Patreon. So thank you very much for your donation, Kingy. I really do appreciate it. He's over on the Colony Craft server with Treeroot and the gang, and we're all good buddies. We all hang out in each other's streams. So really nice to see some support from you. That's it for today, everyone. See you all soon. Bye for now. The Temple of the Order of the Cookie is complete, and my gosh, I know I say this every single video when I build something this big, but I never want to build anything with a roof ever again. This still isn't